Good morning, my friends, and welcome to the Space Game Junkie Podcast. I, as always, am your co-host, Brian, and joining me, as always, is your co-host, Spaz.
Hello.
And your co-host, Hunter.
Hey, you get me today.
Friends, we are doing our first ever 9 a.m. podcast. 9 a.m. for me, at least. We've never done one at 9 a.m. before. Usually, when we have guests that are overseas from us, we try and do it at 6. But that just didn't work out for our guest today, so we were like, all right, let's just do 9. I mean, time zones, man. Time zones. What are you going to do? Joining us today, both from Germany, we have... Okay, guys, I'm going to try. I hope I get it right. I did it earlier. Tobias Offermans and Devedra Poli of Warp Turtle here to talk about... I can never say this word right. Gaia? Is it Gaia or Gaia? Gaia Beyond. Yeah, Gaia. I have what they call an East Coast accent, so I say things like Mario and Nevada, and my wife gives me all kinds of crap for it.
You have like a northern East Coast accent.
Northeast. Yeah, I have a Northeast accent, basically. I have a Northeast like Philadelphia, New York type of thing.
Hey, it's Mario.
So, gentlemen, thank you for taking time out of your day to join us to talk about. I'm just gonna say, my brain wants to say Gaia. I can't even say George Takei's name right. I always want to say Takai. So I don't know why. Thank you for taking.
Wait, is it not Takai?
It's Takei. It's Takei.
Oh my God! Takei. I've been saying it wrong this whole time.
I know.
I feel terrible. Oh
just
my God!
Just think. He's gay. So George Takei, gay. Just use that to keep the rhyme, and you'll be fine.
And he himself has used that joke. So
yes,
my.
I did not make this. Yes. Oh my. I got to meet him when I was 11. It was the best celebrity encounter I've ever had.
He's got some of the best facial expressions during like moments of shock, like in the Star Trek shows and movies and stuff. I love him.
So, gentlemen, here's we told you there'd be tangents. So, just a side note. I was 11. This was my second Star Trek convention, and I had never gotten anything signed by a celebrity before. But I was encouraged to stand in line for an hour to get something signed by George Takei. All I had was a vinyl copy of Star Trekkin' by The Firm. You know the song Star Trekkin' across the.
Yeah.
So I go up. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think I mixed it up with Deep Purple Space Trekking.
Oh, no. So I go up to him, and I'm just in awe because I've never met a celebrity. And he's like, oh, I know this song. And then he sings like half the goddamn song with the crowd joining in behind me. And I'm just standing there about to pee my pants. And he's like, he signs it. He's like, good to see you. He was so nice. And I ran to him again a year later, and he remembered me.
Oh, I heard he was a really nice person.
He is the nicest. He asked me how school was going, because I was 12, and he is the nicest guy. Anyway, back on track. So, guys, that might have been the earliest we ever had a tangent, like minutes into the show. I don't know, though.
No problem. I love Star Trek, so... No worries.
Oh, good.
We love Star Trek here.
Yeah, we love.
Never been to a convention though, because in Germany, hard to come by.
Oh, really? There aren't a lot of conventions in Germany?
No, there are, but hard to come by for me because I don't go outside the house.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, if you have social. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say if you're an introvert or have some social anxiety, conventions can be real tough. I don't go anymore.
It's not that I'm too lazy.
Oh, well, okay, that's another thing. Yeah, because
to experience these sorts of things where you have to walk around a lot.
Well, to entice you, there's quite a bit of sitting at a Star Trek convention. Basically, if you want, you don't have to walk around at all. You can just go into the panel room and sit there all day. Yeah. So, so you could totally be lazy at a Star Trek convention if you want to. FYI. Excuse me. So back on track. We're here to talk about, oh my God, Gaia. No, damn it. Gaia. Damn it. I'm going to do that the whole time. I apologize. Gaia Beyond. Folks, if you're not aware of what Gaia Beyond is, it is a top-down spaceship adventure game that takes place in our solar system in the future. With many colorful characters and exploration and combat, and it's been, how long was it in early access? 2 or 3 years?
2 years.
2.5. Yeah. We went early access in March 18, and now we released on 20th of August. So it's 2.5.
Congratulations on that, by the way. I mean, it's always
thank you.
It's always
thank you very much.
I'm gonna say it's always great to see a game actually leave early access and hit 1.0. That, I mean, it's always great to see a game do that, but that actually like reached a point where it should. Like, how many times have we seen an early access game where it's like, oh, we're out of early access? Like, wait a minute, this isn't done.
I have to say, of course. Yeah, that's exactly the point. I mean, we're not done. That's one of the points, I guess. We need to communicate, because a lot of people, of course, expected 1.0 to be like the final product or something. But for us, it was more a way to get more feedback in, because we had like some really loyal players, like a really good player base. But once those players went through the game and explored everything, even if they replayed it, it was like, you have one playstyle and you're gonna follow that playstyle through your whole experience after a while.
Yeah.
And at this point, this game we're trying to make, I'm saying we're trying to make because we're like only at the first step with 1.0 now, or like at the second after early access. And we're trying to make like a very open worldish sandbox, not sandbox, but like a game where you can do a lot of decisions and there's going to be a lot of consequences. And we're trying to show this with 1.0. And because it was a little bit buggy and we're fixing it right now, maybe it didn't come over to everyone as perfectly as we planned. So we want to make sure that like people understand it was for us an important method to get more players into the game, to experience it in like different ways, because there's so many things you can like do in a different, how do you say, order, and so the game is very open for like individual experiences, and of course also bugs, and we need to find and fix all those things. And this was one of the most important steps for us and tasks, to get people telling us what actually is wrong with the game now,
Yeah, and what we also planned for 1.0 to be is to have one finishable quest line in itself, like a main quest arc. And we knew from the beginning that there would be many other quest arcs that would be impossible to implement before 1.0. And so we tried to make it like not a vertical slice, but to have a finishable experience that doesn't feel like it has huge gaps. We tried our best to achieve that, but we knew from the start that after that release we would continue, of course, and to add big chunks of like new quest lines being added afterwards, after the main plot you can finish now.
Even during early access, we had like a lot of people asking for special features. Like, for example, a lot of people like carriers in space games, and we couldn't finish this feature, for example, for 1.0, but we finished other features.
We introduced capitals though, so we have the big ones, but they can't drop small ships yet.
Yeah, we introduced the capital ships and stuff like this during early access, and we introduced more weapon types and stuff like this. And we failed to introduce everything we tried for 1.0, but that's all coming. And everything we already planned anyway for after 1.0, that's also still coming. So I hope that people understand that, we're trying our best to present a game that in the future will be a very memorable experience, Excuse my bad English.
I have to admit I'm a bit confused as to why people are like, I noticed the reviews are negative, and I'm like, why? Because your update, when you made an update, your update news posts were very detailed, and I never for a moment got the feeling that 1.0 was not finished. I got the feeling that this is where you thought 1.0 was, and it sounds like, maybe 2.0 will be the next storyline, and then 3.0 or whatever. I had no problem understanding that. So I'm wondering if people even read the news posts. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I am addicted to news posts on Steam. I check Steam so many times a day to see if a game's been updated or if a developer has put out a new dev blog on Steam. Like, the news feed on Steam and the friend activity thing, I probably go there more than just about anywhere else. and
yeah, sure. I think
I like to see what achievements my friends got and stuff like this.
Yes, so, it's fun. Yeah. It's fun to see what they bought. It's fun to see what did you. They added a thing recently. I think it's recently where they say so and so has played this for the first time, which I haven't seen until recently. I don't know if it's a new thing, but I might have missed it. But I love seeing stuff like that, And I'm wondering if
there's.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I think there's a lot of people actually following our news, and we got a lot of loyal people in the community that are checking every little thing we publish. But I can also understand that at this point with 1.0 that there are so many new people that have never ever heard of the game before, and they want to consume it. They paid money for it. They want to check it out. And I guess many people are not reading every update at the moment, and I can totally understand that. That's our chance to communicate.
Maybe I think there's a miscommunication in there or misconception rather, that when people see out of early access 1.0, they assume the game is done. Even if more is going to be added to it, they assume the game is done. And for some devs, from what I'm hearing, yourselves included, it's more of the base game is feature complete, but you still want to add a lot more to it and build beyond that. And I think that's where the misconception lies, is because they see, it's out of early access, therefore it must be done. These things should be in there before you release out of early access, and they're not there, or something along those lines. There is that misconception causes problems with people trying to think, why isn't this here?
Yeah, of course. And when I see a player complaining that at the end right now, there's after you finish the end boss, there's a bug still, and we're gonna fix it in the next 2 or 3 days. I hopefully, if not much later. But the whole debriefing sequence is kind of wacky and not working right now. So people are coming into the forums and coming onto Discord and stuff, and asking about
my quest is broken.
Where's the next main quest? Because there's something not working right now. And this is when I see all those people then complaining about, I had fun with the game, because I think if they played to this point, they had fun with the game. They were like involved with it. So if they now complain, they actually are passionate about these kind of products, these kind of games, these kind of experiences, and they want it to be good. And of course, because there's like a little bug here and a bug that totally breaks the storyline there, which we already fixed at one point, people get thrown out of the immersion. You know what I mean? And
That's fair.
And it's totally fair for those people to be, negative about our game. And I understand this point of view, because I think it's part of our fail to communicate that early access, like leaving early access and releasing 1.0, is not the final product. We tried to do that like with the news posts you saw and stuff, but not everyone who's like a new player who buys the game now they didn't see any of this. They buy the game, they expect a finished product, and that's where all the negativity lies right now.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame because 1.0, I mean, it doesn't have to be the end. It could be a milestone. Like, this is our 1.0 milestone. We have a lot more coming, but this is where we wanted the game to.
Yeah.
This is where we wanted the game to be at 1.0. This is so we're where we expected to be, but I think we all can realize that gamers are a fickle bunch. And,
I'm myself as a gamer. I understand, and I only blame ourselves, because even if 1.0 was not like planned as a final product in any way, we still tried, of course, to present a bug-free experience, which we couldn't. And that is, of course, also, or if everything would have been worked as planned, I think a lot of the people who were now like disappointed a little bit would be a little bit more positive about the game now. But the thing is, I don't really see like a problem with it, just because we kind of expected this kind of reaction in the first place, and we kind of wanted it because we wanted all this feedback to get this focus, what to do next, what to repair, what to fix, and where something is wrong, what we couldn't discover and any of the other players couldn't discover until now.
Right. And there is precedent for this. I mean, look at Sharp Pointy Stick. I love that name, by the way, in the Twitch chat. Brings up the story of No Man's Sky. I mean, when that got released, it was not done. It was done, but
not. I remember this.
And it got so much crap, but they kept at it. And look at the turnaround they've had. Look at the kind of a Cinderella story of that game. So there is definitely precedent that if you stick with a thing and you're open about the communication and everything, that you'll turn it around. And I have every confidence that you guys will. It's just going to take some time. But
it's going to take some time, but yeah.
Yeah, but it'll be. I know it'll be worth it in the end, because you have a great game here. I was playing it yesterday to record the footage that's looping in the background as we talk, and
it's getting better every day, because in the moment we're pushing like little patches, like almost 1 a day, 2 a day. So hopefully, in the next 2 or 3 weeks, everything will be fixed and we can finally add new content. So yeah.
Exactly, and there's nothing wrong with reaching a 1.0 milestone to get the game where you feel it is. And like, if you don't have enough testers to find stuff, then how are you gonna find stuff? You need more testers. So I mean,
exactly, yeah. when you were talking about No Man's Sky, I was also thinking this guy created a huge hype before that. So there were players and testers and everything. And we were just like, yeah,
a small indie team,
tumbling around in the low area.
Zero budget and stuff like this. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing will probably happen. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Starfleet 2, Krellin Commander. It came out. Heard of it. Yeah, it came out in 1989. It's been hailed as one of the worst games ever made because it was released in a horribly buggy state. Horribly.
Okay, rings a bell, yeah.
Yeah, I never played it at the time, but I'm playing it now. The developer is actually back working on it, and he has been making so many improvements and changes. And I have a feeling it'll be another similar case to what's going to happen with this game in No Man's Sky. It'll be like it'll be a kind of rags to riches, kind of Cinderella style, story.
One thing we haven't mentioned yet is that we are actually we have started quite early before the early access release too. So the initial plan and the concept and the decision to make exactly this game was actually decided in the end of 2010. We started like in the beginning of 2011.
Whoa!
With the development. And
really?
Of course, we didn't work full time all the years, but there was also never a complete stop. It was like always at least one or two people working constantly, and overall, actually, we worked most of that time.
And I mean, of course, the first few years was like putting an engine together and like putting basic stuff together without anything that's actually in the game, and like while putting a concept on paper for all the storylines that are connected. That's why I'm always telling people there's more like chapters coming, because they're like already written down and it's already done. The problem is to get it in the game, and this is taking us a lot more time than we've expected like a few years ago.
And a few years ago there was kind of a jump or breakthrough in that direction, because so much stuff just wasn't possible before that. I mean, with the story, for example, like Devendra said, the concept was big already and it was there, and we knew how factions and everything were going to work out over time, but the possibilities to integrate it into the game, to transport the message of the lore and everything, that was a thing that just came in step by step, and along with technical opportunities. So yeah, and especially during the early access time, I think there was a big jump in the technical possibilities, and it went a lot faster to actually implement what we were going to tell the players.
I have to say, I find it amazing that you started working on this game in 2010, because a lot of people we talk to, when we ask them when they started a game, usually it's like, oh, well, Star Citizen became a thing. And I'm like, oh, space games might be a thing again. So people started working on space games again. But in 2010, there was nothing. There was absolutely nothing.
Yeah, we followed the development of what is now Star Sector. It came along back then during.
That's right. That was like it.
Yeah, we saw, there's this game. Hey, what's this style? How do they do it? And it just popped up once in a while to us, and it was Starfarer back then.
Right.
And yeah, we always stumbled across it.
And you didn't want to do a 9-year, 10-year early access period like they're doing.
No, because there wasn't anything.
We've never
anything to play with, actually. So, it took us like quite a few years to actually put this the basic engine together and put all the things we need for the first quests and stuff the mechanics and stuff.
Right.
Because I'm honest, we're like, at the beginning, we were like inexperienced developers, we're still not very experienced, but we gained a lot experience, and we know a lot of things now that we can like do faster. That's why content is coming a lot quicker.
There also was no schedule or time goal at all in the beginning. We just said, okay, let's do this. This is the concept. This is what we're going to go to, and the plan was just we start working, we keep working as much as possible, and I think for the first, let's say, 6 or 7 years, we had no schedule, no time goal to match, just like open end. And when we started with the project, we said, yeah, maybe we will release it in 10 years, and now
maybe not.
Here we are, almost 10 years.
Yeah, after a while it was like, okay, this is now becoming a game for real. It's not just like fun and like for like learning. This is like something we can actually
quick cash grab.
Yeah, and then we started like going for early access, and now we're like 1.0, and we're going like to continue till we have what we imagined like almost 10 years ago.
Right. Now, you said this was your engine? This is your own engine?
No. The one person that did this is Florian Richter. And he's like the one that's not here today, but he's the one living in Thailand with his wife. And he's doing all the programming. He's doing like the engine and like the basic scripting. He did all that.
Right, but I mean, it's a custom engine. It's a custom engine. It's not Unity or anything.
Exactly.
Wow.
Engine, as far as I know. Yeah.
Actually, there's quite a fun background, because this whole thing was evolving from a actual Super Mario clone engine, so it was a side scroller engine.
Wait, what?
And yeah, our main menu looked like the main menu from that Mario clone for a while, and so a lot of features, of course, most of the features that are here now, developed over time and were added into this engine. It had a level editor for 2D platformer levels, and also the interface and the usability of that editor has gone such a long way from then, from totally different genre and purpose, to what it is now, to actually for us to work with as well.
Well, it's pretty impressive because it was really fun to fly around. The combat was, I really like how visceral the combat is. Like, you almost feel it. Like when a ship blows up, it has weight. It almost has like a crunchy weight to it. You know?
The combat is interesting. I was taking note of the combat especially with like the targeting system and all that other stuff. I find very interesting.
We still want to add like some stuff to like the targeting of the turrets, how turrets work, and the targeting systems, so that like battle gonna be a little bit more deeper with time, hopefully. But I think it's mostly based on like old asteroid-like games, like the whole flying experience and how the ships handle, and the shooting, of course.
Well,
I'm sorry. I just have to ask: does anyone remember of you Spark Cola from Atari?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I mean,
remember what?
Like Space Solar,
it's like
or
a
something.
very old space game that no one actually remembers anymore. I guess.
Space Overlord.
No, SPACOLA.
No.
I think it was made by a German programmer, so I don't know how international it was.
I didn't even knew that, so
quite a milestone.
like when I was a little kid, I had this on my Atari. I don't
me
know
too,
how to
with 10 years old.
Yeah, but this is actually one of the main inspirations for this game, and then escape velocity and stuff like this, and all the new stuff. We actually, we're too old. We never played the new stuff. We all played the old stuff mostly.
Well, you're probably too busy working on your own game, which is fair.
Actually, since we went early access, and especially now during after 1.0, I don't play anything right now anymore, but hopefully I will again in the future.
I believe it. I totally believe it, because you get so target fixated.
Well, what I was going to say about the whole combat stuff, especially with the targeting, I found interesting about the targeting is I could shoot at the guy and not hit him, but I have to target what I'm shooting at in order for my shots to hit. I found that interesting.
I like that.
That was also hard to communicate, because we had a lot of streamers and players we watched getting confused by you have to middle click the object to hit it if it's not an enemy. If it's an enemy, like a pirate or someone who wants to attack you anyway, there will be auto collision on your fires, but or asteroids, for example, you can hit them right away. But if the object is neutral or friendly, of course, then you have to target select it first. And this is also the only way right now for rotatable turret weapons to fire. We have fixed weapons and turret weapons, and these latter ones only shoot and aim automatically when you have a target selected, which is told once in the tutorial. So if a streamer or a player comes back after half a year and picks up his old save game, we often saw that people didn't know how to attack what they wanted to. But yeah, actually you can attack pretty much anything in this whole world. Yeah, it's possible. You just have to manually select it before.
I like that. That means you can't accidentally, how many space games have you been in where you're like, I want to try and shoot my new gun. Oh no, I'm sorry. Oh God, I'm sorry, Freighter. I didn't mean, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Now everyone else wants to kill you.
Without intention, yeah.
We currently have the same thing with ramming, though, because you crash into someone and he lowers his affinity towards you. And that's also one thing we really got to fix as fast as possible, that you can sometimes even break story missions by that. You crash into your friend 5 or 10 times, and then he just hates you, and he's there with his friends, and they see he's fighting you. So actually you're starting a war against you, instead of following the target that the quest asks of you.
Oh man. So
dynamic open world.
Right. So right now there's one main quest line that you can follow. I mean, I've been playing a lot of side quests, but right now there's just the one big overall story right now.
Yeah, we started with the first chapter, which came along. I mean, the story for it was written I think 6 or 7 years ago, and it's more or less in the end, in the long run, when we finally reached the final version, which will be whatever number, it's more like a first chapter, like a prologue, like things to build up things. We had one person on Steam, I think, who was like, oh, I'm kind of disappointed the game ends where it gets good, where it got interesting. And that's the whole point of it. It's a build up for the stuff we're preparing right now, and try to add after we fixed all that's a little bit buggy with the current main
Right.
quest.
How many hours would you say are in there right now in terms of content?
I mean, if I would play the main quest, like I would only need maybe 8 to 10 hours to finish it, because I would skip through most of the parts. And if you do all the side quests, then of course it's a lot more. And if you're like a new player and you explore stuff and you do the main quest, you get, I think, if you want to see everything, you would need at least 20 to 30 hours, if you're lucky and you're going to the right places and stuff. But actually, I think a lot of people who like the game spend a lot more time in it than this. They spend like 50, 60, 70, some people over 100
Wow.
hours. But I cannot tell you what they're actually doing after 100 hours. But
Probably just flying around with the most badass ship they can get, just killing everyone.
maybe
Take
just
some time to get them, yeah.
and the thing is, I think in the end, if we ever reach that final goal, we will hopefully have over 100 hours of playtime in there, bug free, of course. But
Of course.
it will take a lot of time and blood and sweat till we're gonna reach that goal.
Of course. But yeah, even 8 to 10 hours for a main quest, that's and just the main quest, we're not talking side quests, is pretty good. Like, I mean, I have no problem with games that are like big open world, 100, 2,000 hours. Like, sometimes you just want something a little more contained, and that's fine. Like Titanfall 2, that's what, like 6, 7 hours? It's like the best 6, 7 hours of your damn life right there. So it's like,
Of course, when you're like a big budget game, you can do it. You can be like a 5-hour game, a 6-hour game, an 8-hour game, and people are fine with it. Like one
right.
experience, like a movie, you go through it, finish. But I guess that's not our goal, and we try, of course, to not contain. We want to go big,
Sure.
but at the moment, it's contained in one story arc, which is approximately, because I cannot tell for sure, but I think it should take around 10 hours at least for a new player to get through that.
Yeah, that's what I would say too, like 10, 12,
Yeah.
around.
And that's
Maybe
great.
more.
But that's 10 to 12 really fun hours, and then you have side quests and things and
Fun
and more
as
ships to
long as
buy, you know.
But what I should point out, maybe, there's actually replayability already. If you would like finish the game and would say, oh, okay, I don't want to explore anymore, I would go for a new game, you could. And if you would decide different in certain situations, you would go to see different content, like even missions you don't see during
Oh.
the main story. If you decide a certain thing, this is actually also working. This is not something that's like not working, like the epilogue after the end. This is something that's working quite fine, and I think a lot of people haven't discovered all the different routes to certain sequences.
Oh, I had no idea. That's awesome. That definitely encourages replayability. I dig it. No, I wasn't trying to be negative. I'm just like, cuz 8 to 10 hours of a main quest for a $15 game is great. You know, I think that's a fantastic value is what I was trying to convey.
The price is quite fair, I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You get, if everything, like if we fix everything like in the next days, all those last little minor and not so minor stuff, we will like that will be an experience totally worth the price. And of course, we already balanced and fixed a lot of the other issues, like outside of the main quest, that people that people can experience and enjoy the game more and smoother how they like to, you know.
Yeah, we were even thinking about, should we raise the price? We were actually discussing short before the 1.0 release if we should do that, because we, in our early access description, we announced the price will gradually increase over time. And now, actually, I have to say I'm glad that Devendra said we should not do that. And we were like, yeah, come on, $1, €1, whatever. It's like nothing. And look at the other games around; they are like $2 more expensive than us, and it shouldn't go wrong. But of course, now that I see the reviews and a lot of people saying, what's up? I paid this and that kind of money, and what do I get from it? Beta, early access, test version, what is this? This would have become worse, of course, even by $1 more than what we have now. And I think it's just fine. We did it that way. And we are still thinking about raising it in the future when there will be, first of all, of course, a stable and a full experience you can't argue about, and on top of that, add more content that is really worth more money than it is now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're gonna raise it at one point. I was pretty sure it was like the wrong moment to do it, like for now, because the game is just a little bit too wacky still. But after a while, you know, it's gonna be worth more. And I hopefully those people who stay with us now, who were like, let's see what those people are doing in the future. I hope they will be a little bit rewarded that they got it like a little bit cheaper in the beginning when things were kind of a little bit off track, you know, still. And now, after a while, I mean, when it's a little bit more pricey, when it's like more stable, when it has a lot of more content, I hope people that are leaving now negative comments will come back. You know, they will come back and try it again, and they will forgive us for the time being.
They probably will, especially if you show constant work, which you're doing already. If you keep up, I mean, not this breakneck pace that you're doing, but if you keep up a regular pace of improvements and updates, that can't help but turn it around. And more people will see that, you know, you're still working on it. Because people, I don't know about you guys, but I totally look at that. Like, if I see a new game and like, why is it, like, if I see it's got negative reviews, I'll look at not only the news posts but the forums, and if I see that they're trying, I might actually, you know, still buy it even with the negative reviews, because like, oh, the developer is still working on. There was a game, I think it was called Fictorum. It's like a wizard game.
I think I remember it slightly.
With a fully destructible environments, and it got, when it was first released, it got shellacked. But the developer kept plugging away at it, and the reviews started getting more positive. So you can see that history if you look for it. And when I saw that the developer was making these big patches and updating it still, and trying to make it better, and people in the forums are saying how much better it was, I bought it and I haven't regretted it. It's a really fun game. It's still a bit, you know, glitchy and whatnot, but I mean,
yeah,
they're working on it, and that's really what matters to me. Is that something's not abandoned. Like, how many games have you seen on Steam where it's like, I have this plugin, it's the Steam DB database plugin, and it'll show you on the Steam page when a game was last updated. And like, it's amazing. Like, you'll go in there and you'll see a $40 game last updated 1,800 days ago or something. It's like, what?
You know, the gone, you know.
What was that?
The developers are gone by that time. If
you exactly. Like why would I buy this if it's doesn't seem complete, it doesn't seem fun, and it's long, it hasn't been updated in so long, it's probably never going to be updated. So, like, what?
Yeah,
what's the
I think
point?
every time as a developer, I think you have to prove yourself that you're serious. I mean, we internally we knew we are serious because we have
Right.
worked like, what was it, 6, 7, 8 years before going early access at all. But of course, we weren't sure if we should communicate that. It could also sound like we are not getting forward and we're just chilling out, and if it's a good or a bad fact actually. And we knew that when we went into early access, we would have that burden of the reputation of early access, that so many projects get cancelled, and we knew we wouldn't abandon it, of course, but I can totally understand player assume there is the risk of the game never ever being touched again by the devs. And yeah, so we now we did that next step, but I think we got to prove ourselves again to show, yeah, it's 1.0, but this is not the end. We're still here and doing things.
And I hope people listening to this podcast, get that. But I think it doesn't help that I personally, at least, this is anecdotal, but I know a lot of people who will not buy an early access game, like at all. Like if it still says early access on it, they won't touch it. So that's a way, like you got to get out of early access sometimes to get those new people in the mix, as well. So it's I don't envy. I love game developers. We love them so much, but I don't envy a game developer because the tightrope you have to walk, you have to walk, in terms of marketing and expectation and development and deliverables, and is just, it would drive me insane. It would.
And you only have one chance for every step. Kind of, you can go early access one time, you can go out of early access one time, and
oh god,
for
that's true.
all of us, it's the first time we're ever doing that actually. I mean, we got a bit of experience in game dev in general, but it's not like really that much mentionable. Like we really were responsible for such a product, for such a price, for and it's we are reading, informing ourselves, but we're still actually doing that for the first time every step.
Right.
And once it's done, the step is over. So yeah.
And I don't know about you guys, but it really pisses me off when a developer tries to skirt around that by like, oh, here's such and such enhanced edition. It's a new SKU and everything. It's a completely new product. They're trying to like whitewash the history of their old. But I'm like, no, I'm not buying this. No, if you don't trust
you're just gonna keep updating. So yeah,
just update your old one and be honest about it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we're trying to do. I mean, exactly. We're gonna update and that's it. No add-ons and stuff like this. I mean, maybe in 20 years, if we are like done and everything is finished and it works on Linux and on Nintendo Switch, then we're going to make another game.
Are you guys gonna put this on the Switch? This would be a great little game for the Switch.
I mean, no, not that I know of, but I mean, this is one of the things I totally understand. You know, look at the state of the industry right now. You're getting, as a player, you're getting like a lot of games, even from big budget companies, which are unfinished. Like, remember Fallout 76, was it? Like the big MMORPG and stuff like this.
Oh yeah, that was a mess. Yeah.
You know, and I understand people being frustrated with stuff like this, and now our game is kind of has the same problems, you know, but we're not like a big budget company. We're like 3 people doing this on our own, and we're trying to tell people we're doing this because we love this game. We want to present something that other people can love. And I mean, it's understandable when big companies push out games that are broken, and it's like a standard today almost. that people are really angry about those things. So I'm not angry about angry people, you know.
Yeah, and especially early access on top, then like of course unfinished stuff because it's early access, but in so many cases just abandoned in the middle of the process. And I think that's why a lot of players turn their back to that kind of model. And so that's the proving thing.
It's really a shame. We've called it a double-edged sword around here many times because thanks to early access and Steam's newsfeed and everything, us players, us fans, have gained more access into development than we've ever had before. You know, like 20 years ago, the only way we can get it in a peek into game development was printed magazines. You know,
Print media.
Yeah, and you get that once a month, and you get like, here's the feature article on Lord of the Rings or something. I don't know.
Or you get that random like television show that like goes behind the scenes. I like to think of Victor Lucas back in like the early 2000s.
What was it? Where
did he go behind which scenes?
There was a video game show that went behind the scenes in the early 2000s.
Electric Playground did that. Like, well, actually, in the late 90s, even like Victor Lucas would go around and he'd like interview like people from like id and stuff like that. And
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, dude. But it was like he was the only one. You know, I mean, there was others, but like he's the one who's been doing it since the early 90s through to today on his YouTube channel. Like he's in his 50s now with kids and all that kind of stuff, and he's still doing it. So it's like,
that's amazing.
Props to that guy.
It's kind of, but what I was gonna say is like we have more access to how the sausage is made than ever before, and you would think that would make a lot of gamers more understanding, more tolerant.
It doesn't. Funnily enough, it makes them more entitled.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all, because it's like you see that there are humans working on this game, there are people working on this game, and two, they have struggles working on this game.
I think that entitled bit comes into play more so because some development studios aren't, and that's not necessarily a negative thing towards them, but it's not part of their development cycle to be as like open and upfront about what they're doing. You take
Blizzard.
You take Blizzard or like any of some of like the big ones that are being worked on right now. It's kind of like the reverse. Like Star Citizen's that anomaly, right? So like they're telling people what they're doing, but they're not doing it. As a matter of fact, they're like they just put out a roadmap to a roadmap.
Yeah, I was just about to bring up the roadmap to. I was just about to bring up the roadmap to the roadmap.
What have you guys been doing for the last 8 years? Like that's
we've been finding a way. We've been finding a way to make the UI better, so we can make a more efficient UI for us to make a more efficient UI in the game. We've been working on our
roadmap.
We've been working on our
procedural roadmap.
We've been working on our tools to.
So that's part of what I was getting at though. Is like some people are very open. So like you brought up No Man's Sky earlier. No Man's Sky had the problem of over-promising and underperforming, right? Especially in terms of and it wasn't entirely No Man's Sky's fault either. Part of it had to do too with the hype train around it. So you had Sony that was pushing it pretty hard. You had places like IGN that was doing like 24/7 coverage of this thing, and just like it took it to such a high level that there was no possible way that Hello Games was going to meet that expectation. Like it wasn't going to happen. Right?
I remember the hype, and I was thinking while they were presenting and showing all those things they wanted to do with it, I was like, are they actually gonna do this? And when it was released, they weren't. It was like not exactly what you imagined,
Yeah, I mean, and like in a lot of the trailers, like none of the trailers had like stuff that was actually in the game or all these. But I mean, eventually, and to Hello Games' credit, what they ended up doing is they did the reverse. They went silent and then just like punched out content. Like they communicate a little bit more now. Like they're now like talking to like their audience and stuff now. But like after that initial launch backlash, they went PR silence and just pumped out content.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a weird balance. So in the age, like what you said, Brian, where there's like a lot of, and I think it's interesting, the communication cycle that we're in, I think has a lot more to do with the crowdfunding scene than it does from just individual studios. So a lot of the smaller studios tend to be a little bit more communicative of things, and then you get into the problem where big studios try to be communicative as well, and then they like put out a product and you're like, well, hold on a second, that's not what you said you were going to do. The bigger studios, I feel like, get even worse backlash. I think of something like Bethesda, like, with a lot of their issues as of late with some of the things that they've been dealing with. Or you look at something like as big as Blizzard, pulling one out from under people, talking about like, hey, the next Diablo game, you guys got phones, right? So it's like so we might have more communication. We might have more communication, but I think the communication's not great.
No, you're not wrong.
I think with the AAA studios, they have just such strict plans, and they are just doing what they're doing and calculating what they do. And for indies or small devs, it's like we are more reliant, more dependent actually on the community. It's not just trying to sell copies before it's finished to have some food in the fridge. It's also just to actually have some kind of guidance how to create what we create. Like people on Discord and stuff, giving their feedback and their wishes and their experiences from other games, their expectations, and that's also guiding us and showing us the way sometimes. And like now, like the feedback amount just boosted up so high. It's really helping a lot to prioritize where are the biggest issues and what stuff is less important than we thought. And
also, what next to add after the fixing of the issues, it helps us prioritize what the people want the most. It's mostly stuff we want to put in anyway, but in which order? It's like we listen to the people what they want the most right now.
And I think you've hit on a really great point with that, and that is Discord. I think Discord, hands down, has probably got to be one of the better things that can help developers than anything right now. I mean, like, sure, like Steam reviews, but Steam reviews, I think, in a lot of ways, actually hurt things because then you got that like positive negative review cycle where it's not really meant to be like a, hey, let's give feedback to the developer. Like a Discord community, you can have tiers of people that have not like, crying, but like the different levels of people who are following you. And you can kind of put people in different categories. Like here's our super players. Like these guys are really into like this game. They're really giving us a lot of feedback. We're going to put them in this category. And like anybody else who comes along who's at that level, we'll put them in there too. And these are like our super feedback people, right? And then Discord is very good at that because like Reddit, things can get lost, or you get a lot of Reddit can kind of get a lot like Steam reviews. It gets a little toxic at times. As where I feel like on Discord you have a much better direct communication with people.
I think the Steam forum, the boards there are in between that. Like the reviews have like a very final character. If someone writes a review, he's got his opinion about it, and it's more like his final statement about something. Whereas in the forum, it's like a bit the same like Discord. People can also make suggestions and share their thoughts. But of course, on Discord, it's much faster to clear up small things, and they are contacting you. Hey, are you awake? What's this and that item used for? And, can you please check in the script if this ship is available? And you can answer them right away, and the topic is checked. And yeah, it's much faster, much more direct way of communication, of course.
So we got to start wrapping up. I apologize. I have to get to work, but I just wanted to ask my final question. What would you say is the next big thing you have planned for the game?
So, I mean, every one of us has like a special thing he does.
Big thing list.
Yeah, I mean, Tobias is doing the graphics, and I'm doing like the scripting, and Florian is doing the programming. I think for Florian, right now is of course fixing stuff as for me as well. But the next big step for me would be to introduce like a new side quest. I want to introduce like around 10-20 new side quests in the next months, and then
Nice.
I want to what do I want to say? I want to
which will affect me, of course, to add stuff for it. And yeah, so actually I'm kind of working a bit behind Devendra, because he, especially for main story content, when he says, I'm gonna do this and that quest, can you do this and that assets, and we need an achievement here, would be nice, can you make an achievement icon? And yeah, so I'm kind of working a bit behind him, like filling up the narrative structure with assets, and also I'm taking care of the music. We haven't mentioned Miguel yet. Shout out to Miguel Johnson, who is doing most of our music. He has also released the official soundtrack for Gaia Beyond. And yeah, he's a great guy, great composer, and so he has provided us with a lot of music. And what I'm doing is kind of putting it in places for story parts, and also that's one of my next small tasks, of course, but urgent. When we were talking about the epilogue and the ending of the current main story, and people wondering, hey, devs, I think my quest line is broken. I don't get a new target, and actually it's the finishing of the story. Of course, we have to smoothen that out and to make it more understandable that this is actually the releasing part of that story arc. It's you did it now, and yeah, that has to become more clear. And yeah, I went a bit off topic now.
No, it's fine. Well, hopefully folks will listen to this podcast and get a much bigger and better idea of where the game is and where you want it to go.
Best idea they will get is if they just watch the update notes closely. Watch what we update.
Yeah.
You guys put a lot in those update notes. You guys put a lot in there, which is great.
Thanks.
So, gentlemen, I want to thank you for taking time out of your, I guess, evening there to.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And supporting us all the way.
Oh, pleasures. I mean, being able to support such a niche like this has been just a joy. So, it's really our pleasure. Folks, I want to thank you all.
It's all on this side of the table.
All on this side of the table. I love that so much. It's like my favorite GIF is that one. Pleasure's all on this side of the table. Folks, that's going to do it for this episode. I want to thank you all for watching and listening. Since my PC has been down, I didn't really get to schedule anything for next week, so I have no idea what we're doing next week. No idea at all. But it'll be something fun. I have some irons in the fire, so even if we don't get a guest, we'll do something fun. And then Thursday's LAN party, we're going to, now that I have a working computer and Spaz is back in his home, thank God, we will be returning to Dying Light. Was that Hellbeard thing out? Hellbeard?
Hellraid is out. Hellraid? It has been out for a while. But we should continue with the following.
The following? Okay. So we'll be playing more of Dying Light the following on Thursday afternoon. I don't know what I'm going to be streaming tomorrow. Maybe Skater XL. I don't know.
Nice. I will be in. Yeah.
I got a key for it. Yeah. It looks interesting. I'm going to try it. I'll probably be terrible at it. But
it's
as long
my
as
absolute favorite game at the moment.
Yeah. Skater XL, really?
Yeah, I skate in real life, and I've been playing the Tony Hawk series up and down, and also with Devendra back then we had our super combo contest. Yeah, so
years like contesting other.
Did you guys pre-order
I've
the
replayed all of them?
Did you guys pre-order the remasters on the Epic Store that are coming out?
Actually, I gotta say, since Skater XL and Session, which is also by indie devs and kind of the competitor to Skater XL, since these both games are out, actually, I got to say, I don't care for the Tony Hawk remake. Because these games are just a new way of it's actually a simulation. That's the difference. I can't recommend it actually to arcade preferring people that want to do like 1 million points combos up lantern poles and down. But yeah, in these games, especially in Skater XL, you really have control over both your feet. Each foot is doing what it would do on a real skateboard, and that's what I find really interesting and really well done.
All right, I think I'll stream it tomorrow just to show how terrible I'll be at it, because it sounds like something I'm going to be terrible at. So, folks, thank you so much for hanging out. A special thanks, as always, to those who support us via Patreon and Twitch. You guys are the best, and I love you. And with that, we're going to call it. Again, the game is Gaia Beyond. It is currently on Steam. It is $15 normally. It is on sale for the next 2 days as we record this. It is a top-down space adventure game that is really great. So check it out. Don't let the negative reviews scare you. It is actually really great. I'll be doing a review series of it next week. So have a great one, y'all. Take care. Be safe. Bye-bye.